Hi guys! Today I'm filming my January wrap-up and my February TBR, and I'm running out of natural light really fast, so let's get started. So the first book for my January wrap-up is Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson and Lauren Miracle. I enjoyed this. It didn't inspire anything more than a kind of passing enjoyment, so I rated it 3 stars. Maureen Johnson's was my favourite story. It also seemed like the most plausible, whereas I had massive problems with John Green's basic premise. And whilst I enjoyed Lauren Miracle's writing, I didn't like how the character just suddenly went BAM! I'm a different person. Like, it didn't work. I had this moment in John Green's section when I stopped hearing the story and just started hearing his voice, which was really strange because I've watched so many Vlogbrothers videos now that the way he writes, you can hear it in his voice, and that happened. Overall, I really enjoyed this. I liked how the stories tied together, and I enjoyed that they kind of all pull in together at the end, even if it's cliche that they all end up in the same place. It's good. I liked it. Next up, I started my Christmas Carols book, and even though I started it on the 1st of January, the mood was gone. Christmas had stopped, and although this is actually really interesting, I couldn't get into it. So I'm gonna have to shelve this until next December when I will read it in line with Christmas. I will just have to look forward to it until then. I also started and didn't finish The Three Musketeers. I've actually hardly got any way into this. I'm here and the book is there. But I've enjoyed what I've read so far. Hopefully I'll start to make a bigger dent in that. It's not vital that I get it read in January, so that's fine. I also read the 4th Percy Jackson book on my Kindle, and I basically read this on the train between home and Cardiff on my way back after Christmas, and I just loved it. I love Percy Jackson, that it lets you just completely suspend all belief and enjoy kind of this weird mix of the real world and absolute fantasy, and that it all just makes sense. Of course there's a labyrinth that you walk into and 5 minutes later you're basically on the other side of the world. It's just, it makes so much sense within the context of the book, and yet it's ridiculous at the same time, and I just love the humour and I love the books. And I rated that 4.5 stars. I enjoyed it, but there isn't a but. They just don't make me go Argh! So at the beginning of the month I said that I was going to read City of Bones, and read City of Bones I did. I finished it within a period of 2 days, and then things got slightly out of hand. So the rest of the books that I read in January match up as follows. Where I really enjoyed City of Bones, I went out and they had an offer on in WH Smith. So I got the next 2 books in the Mortal Instruments series, City of Ashes and City of Glass. But then Beth has been reading The Infernal Devices and wanted someone to flail with, so I picked up the first book in the series of The Infernal Devices. We then went back into town another day, and it turned out that they had changed the covers for the rest of The Infernal Devices. It shouldn't matter that the books don't match, but it did. They had one of each copy left with the right covers for the book that I'd already bought, so I finished the collection with Clockwork Prince and Clockwork Princess. I know that the Mortal Instruments is a series of 6, but I figured that I could just read them in the order they were kind of released anyway, and I needed a break from Jason Clary after City of Glass. So yeah, I read the first half of the Mortal Instruments and I really enjoyed it. I did get slightly frustrated with most of the characters by the middle of City of Glass. I pretty much threw myself against death's door crying about how they could not notice that Jace is not bad. But yeah, I need to calm down a bit. I just need to calm down a bit. Because this is kind of a climax in itself. I got to the end of it and I enjoyed it, so I rated it 5 stars. But then I had to kind of eat my words, eat my rating, I don't know. Because I started Clockwork Angel and oh my days, this just blew me away. Clockwork Angel and Clockwork Prince both straight away got 5 stars, and I literally had to go back and dock a star off of City of Glass. I'd probably still say that gets a 4.5 stars, but I just fell in love with Will and Jem. So yeah, those are the books that I read in January. On to my February TBR. Obviously, after falling so in love with The Infernal Devices, I will be finishing the series. I actually am almost there. I've got this much left. I'm gonna finish that today. But yeah, so I will be finishing this, and much as I lie to myself and tell myself that I will go on and read other books before I get the rest of the Mortal Instruments, I will end up buying them. I'm gonna keep chugging away at The Three Musketeers. I've really enjoyed what I've read, I just need to get into it, and I haven't been able to do that whilst I've been fangirling over Cassandra Clare. And then if I manage it, I have 4 other books that I want to read in the month of February, which seems extreme, but actually they're all quite small. First up, I'm aiming to read Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. It's kind of vague and not vague at the same time in the synopsis, but it's Shakespeare actors post Armageddon basically, and a lot of people have been saying they're going to read this. They haven't necessarily read it, but I've seen a lot of people saying that they're going to read it, and it just sounds amazing. So this is me kind of trying to keep up with current books whilst also getting the ridiculous amount of classics off of my shelf. I then have Neil Gaiman's The Ocean at the End of the Lane, which has been on my shelf for a shameful amount of time. I got it in a buy one get one half price at some point. After reading Coraline in November, I just want more Neil Gaiman in my life, so I'm finally going to actually read this book. So after reading the 4th Percy Jackson book, I pretty much straight away bought the 5th, which is Percy Jackson and the Last Olympian, but I haven't read it because of the thing with Cassandra Clare. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. It's the last book in that Percy Jackson series. I'm well psyched. And finally, I have a book which I bought myself to kind of spur myself on when I was writing my master's thesis. It was supposed to be like the first book that I read once I finished the degree, but it didn't happen. And that is Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier, and I bought it in this beautiful semi-cloth bound kind of thing, and it's just so beautiful. I've read Rebecca and Frenchman's Creek, and I'm just really psyched for this. This is one of my mum's favourite books, and she's been telling me that I need to read it for ages, especially since I read Rebecca and was in love with that. I actually just had confirmation that I will be receiving my master's degree, so this is kind of my second chance to be like, oh well, my master's is done, I'm gonna read this book. That's the theory anyway. So yeah, this has been my January wrap up and February TBR. I hope you enjoyed it. I am surrounded by a pile of books now. I will see you soon. Goodbye! I got to kind of the end. Oh, look at my face.